I thought maybe there was a ghost over
right
my
around
shoulder
the
when you looked back
corner.
there.
Well, you are working for Winchester, and what we're about to dive into is so crazy. So, and anybody could look this up. They've got a page dedicated to the Winchester Mystery House. It's wild just seeing the picture of the house from the outside.
It's hard to even know what you're looking at because it's so
can't even
complicated.
fathom what's going on here. So kind of taking us through that, and there's so much to dive into on this, but basically the Winchester Mystery House, located out in San Jose, California. So we've talked about Oliver Winchester. So he's married to
was it Mary? Was there
Sarah?
No, so Sarah was his daughter-in-law.
Daughter-in-law.
Yeah,
That's what I meant.
He had a son and a daughter.
Yes.
And his son and son-in-law were helping run the company, and then his son died of tuberculosis, kind of unexpectedly.
Right.
And then around that same time, they also lost their infant child. So Sarah had a rough go of it.
And we're talking 1800s here.
1860s.
So everybody knows the timeline.
Probably right around the turn of the century.
Yeah. But his Sarah was his daughter-in-law.
Yep.
Yeah. Sarah Winchester. So Sarah Lockwood.
That was her maiden name, I believe.
Yeah. And so she, because of unfortunate circumstances and family members passing away, and so she takes over or moves out to San Jose.
Yeah, I think there's a little bit of a misnomer in the story where people attribute her as like the owner of Winchester. Really, she just was the beneficiary of a lot of money.
Right.
She inherited
She
ton of
basically
money.
is the heiress, because of these circumstances.
And it looked like to me that a doctor prescribed maybe a sunnier climate, so then she moved out with, I think, sisters over to San Jose. And that's where this mystery house is located.
This mystery house starts forming.
Yeah.
Right.
Because it started out as a farmhouse, and then
to give people kind of an understanding of what's this house looks like, so they do tours there. Mm-hmm. So you can go now that I've read more about it, I might just have to make a trip sometime, on a whim to go just look at how random this house is. But for reference, when Sarah passed away, the home had 160 rooms, 2,000 doors, 10,000 windows, 47 stairways, 47 fireplaces, 13 bathrooms, and 6 kitchens. So kind of what happened, and
not many houses that can boast those numbers. But what's even stranger is their assortment. It's not like it's
and this
just
isn't
a great big house with a lot of rooms. It's just this
This
monstrosity.
isn't Michael Jordan's giant compound of a house that's built. It's nice and structured, and like those stairways, which we'll get into. Some of these stairways didn't go anywhere.
Yeah, it was all
there was
add-ons.
literally a stairway that just
doors that open to walls,
fall.
stairways that go to nothing.
Yeah, so kind of take us a little bit through how this came about and what was, like her, why she's building all this stuff.
Yeah, so there's 2 different stories here.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Which one do you want to do first? You want the Hollywood story, or do you want the maybe more realistic one?
Let's start with the realistic one.
Yeah, let's
go to
do
Hollywood.
realistic. Yeah, sure.
So imagine a young lady that, very well educated, very well connected, a lot of money, and an interest in architecture.
Mm-hmm.
So she moves out there with unlimited resources and starts to expand her house and really gets into it. And over the course of time, just almost obsesses with trying to build this house and add these rooms, and plans kept changing. And so a lot of the things that don't make sense there are because she added stuff onto an existing structure, which then created weird oddities like the doors to nowhere and the stairs that
Yeah.
just disappear into the ceiling. So
I'd be depressed if I thought I was going into a pantry and there wasn't nothing in there.
Right. It's a bit of a maze. Like, I don't know how people even got around in it.
Yeah.
But according to the people that worked with her and her family, those that were close with her, she was just, a lady that was very intelligent, very well liked, very kind to others. And I think maybe that kindness was part of it too, is she kept a lot of contractors busy around the clock working on that place.
I read that she was like kind of the project manager for all this, and that was not really heard of at that time. And usually the ladies wouldn't be project managing this architectural structure.
And I think she took a lot of pride in that, having that ability to show off her house and the construction and kind of make a name for herself. Mm-hmm. But while this is all happening, the neighbors are looking over the fence, right, and wondering, what's this crazy lady doing? And that's when the rumors started. And I'd say that they're just rumors, but I never met her. I was never, there to witness it firsthand. So who knows? But they started to, tell these stories about how she was haunted and that there were ghosts in the house, and that she was building it this way to confuse the ghosts so that they couldn't find her or escape or who knows what. And
she had to constantly build on the house to keep them at bay.
Yeah.
Where she was claimed to speak with a medium. And it's like, hey, you need to keep building these doorways to nowhere, these steps that go to the ceiling, but there's no hatch to go through. It's just a stairway to your ceiling. And so that kind of starts going around.
It was a peculiar looking place, and she was a very interesting lady, and so you can see why stories like that would spread.
The architectural oddities that we talked about. So you see a lot of 7, 11, 13 that gets brought up, and a lot of what she made. 11 steps on a stairway, or 7 posts on a railing. Whatever it. You start seeing that stuff, and so she keeps building onto this. Obviously, and people can go see this house. So who owns it currently?
There's a company or foundation or something that owns it. Winchester never actually owned the house.
But they used the Winchester
tie because it's her name.
Because it's her name. Yep. So it's the Winchester Mystery House.
Yep. So definitely connected closely to Winchester because she was a member of the
she was a member of the original.
But not in a way that like we ever owned it or had any control over it.
Right. What was gosh, there's so many things to go on this, Hayden. So if I miss something, jump in.
Sounds good.
To make sure I'm staying on point, because there's so many things to go over about this. So I said the stairways leading straight into ceilings, doors that had no rooms behind them, even a door that led to nowhere, which when open, it revealed a several-story drop straight onto the concrete below. This is like...
You wouldn't want to sleepwalk there.
What's going on?
No.
Yeah. But you could take it both ways. One is maybe she's a good-hearted lady. She's got all these workers. She's an heiress. She's got buku bucks.
Needs a hobby.
And kind of like, as if we could draw a parallel to it,
why are you pointing at me?
No. Sorry.
I was going to say, I don't have
got a
buku
W
bucks.
on your chest. Is Winchester has
my hobbies are much more vanilla.
Winchester has this giant facility that they're coming off of, though, at the war goes down. Now you've got 60,000 employees. Well, all right, start making bowling balls, rollerblades, whatever. Sarah's got all this money. She hires these people, and now it's like, well, I want to keep paying them. They've got families or need to live, so
I think
all right,
it's
build
easy
me a
to
room
see
here.
that it was an obsession of hers, and then the cause is the one piece of it that's kind of speculative.
And it's been on what were the Mythbusters, Hayden?
Yeah, Mythbusters, Ghost Adventures, and 13 Ghosts, and there were a couple others.
13 Ghosts, so you can see episodes of this place on there.
It just looks like a tourist attraction, though.
Yeah.
Like, there's no real... I don't believe in ghosts or whatever, but it looks like they just that's the perfect house to set up a haunted house because you have a stairway to a wall or a door that opens up to a wall. Like it looks like just a tourist attraction
Right.
Halloween house. And
Yeah.
you can go buy tickets.
But you know how
I think you can stay there is what it looked like.
like in Liberty we have the Belvoir
Yeah.
winery, right? So the stories circulate what it used to be, what you know what I mean, and you just, I mean, the mind, right, just starts reeling, and it's like, why?
Yeah, it's hard
Why
to
is
make
this
sense of
door-
it, and so then you start to think of what
sure.
other reasoning could there be?
And I could only imagine. You talked about the neighbors, right? Watching. Yeah, what are the stories they're coming up with? Sure, I'm sure they're watching, Miss Lockwood Winchester over there adding on a room all the time. And it's like, why is there a stairway out there that just goes into the side of the wall? Yeah, so I'm sure they've came up with all sorts of stuff.
Well, and I think we talked about legacy a minute ago, right? I think she probably was in search of some type of legacy, and by building this wild, extreme house, she is still relevant here 100 years later, because I think she died in like 1922, and so
Yeah, and
the
it's
fact
still there.
that we're remembering her and talking about her, I guess it worked.
Yeah. So owned by Winchester Mystery House LLC, which really doesn't, I mean, Winchester because that was her last name, but it's not, it's never really owned by like Winchester now.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe some of our listeners have been to it, have to let us know how it was.
It says that guests have reported cold spots, footsteps, knocking, bangs, smells of cooking and perfume, whispering, slamming doors and windows, feelings of being watched, and shadow figures.
There you
So
go.
if you believe in that, right?
Yeah.
Or your mind's playing tricks, you're going in
If
thinking
nothing else,
that
this is the time of
place is
year to have
haunted-
fun with it,
haunted.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No
And
doubt.
Another thing I thought was interesting too is at Disney theme parks, the Haunted Mansion ride was inspired by the Winchester Mystery House.
So they're the legacies living on there now. It's at a park,